He who fears being despised will never be free. Seneca. In a world full of egos, insecurities, and constant attempts to bring others down, there's one person who stands apart: the Sigma male. Not driven by the approval of others, not ruled by emotional reactions, the Sigma walks his own path with quiet confidence and an unshakable sense of self. He's not concerned with being liked, but with being authentic. And while most people are quick to react when faced with disrespect or humiliation, the Sigma remains unfazed. So how does he do it? How does he spot the subtle jabs, the insults hidden behind smiles, the digs disguised as jokes, and not only recognize them but disarm them effortlessly? The truth is, it's not magic, it's mastery. The Sigma knows that every slight, every sarcastic remark, every backhanded compliment is an opportunity to reveal his true power, control over his emotions, his responses, and ultimately his life. Where others would react with anger or insecurity, the Sigma simply remains calm. He understands the game that's being played and knows how to play it better. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how the Sigma male navigates these minefields of disrespect and humiliation, and how, with a few strategic moves, he can turn the tables without breaking a sweat. Because here's the thing: while the world may throw insults and disrespect your way, if you can learn to respond like a Sigma, you'll realize that the only person truly in control is the one who isn't rattled. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's keep going. Step 1. Recognizing subtle disrespect. Disrespect isn't always loud or overt. It's often disguised in small, almost imperceptible moments that most people overlook. A raised eyebrow, a dismissive tone, a pause before answering. These subtle cues are easy to miss unless you know what to look for. The Sigma male is keenly aware of every one of them, not because he's hypersensitive, but because he's finely tuned to human behavior. When someone is attempting to disrespect or humiliate, they rarely do it openly. It's rarely as blunt as a direct insult. Instead, it's often a microaggression, an offhand remark that's designed to poke at a person's insecurities. The Sigma can immediately spot these moments because he's in tune with both his own emotions and the dynamics of the people around him. Let's break down some of the more common signs of subtle disrespect that a Sigma can recognize in an instant. The undermining question. A person might ask a question in a way that undermines your intelligence or experiences. A common one could be, "Are you sure you know how to handle this?" Or, "Do you even understand what you're talking about?" On the surface, it looks like genuine concern or curiosity, but the tone and phrasing are laced with doubt, signaling disrespect. The Sigma recognizes this and immediately understands it's an attempt to make him question himself. He doesn't fall for it. The condescending compliment. Another form of disrespect is the backhanded compliment. Phrases like, "For someone who doesn't try hard, you look great today," or "I never expected you to be so good at that." It's meant to appear positive, but is designed to poke at a person's self-worth. A Sigma instantly identifies these words for what they are: thinly veiled criticism. While others might brush them off or feel confused, the Sigma is already processing how to disarm it with minimal energy. The dismissive tone. Disrespect often comes through in how someone speaks to you. It's not the words they say, but the tone they use. A dismissive tone is a common weapon used to belittle another person. The Sigma hears it immediately. It's subtle, perhaps a little too casual, maybe even a little mocking. It could come in the form of a quick, sharp response, or just a slight change in tone that signals impatience or disdain. The joke at your expense. Often, disrespect hides behind humor. A person might make a joke about you, something everyone else finds funny, but that feels cutting to you. It could be an off-color remark, a mocking tone, or a situation where they're laughing at you, not with you. The Sigma doesn't need to react to every jab, but he recognizes that these so-called jokes often reveal underlying resentment or an attempt to undermine. The invasive personal question. Some people attempt to disrespect by getting too personal, either by questioning your private life or assuming they know your experiences. "What's wrong with you?" or "Why are you so quiet all the time?" are questions meant to expose vulnerability or manipulate a response. To the Sigma, These are boundaries being tested. He can sense when someone is trying to probe for weaknesses. The Sigma has no obligation to disclose anything, and this subtle disrespect only fuels his inner resolve to remain more guarded and self-sufficient. Recognizing these microaggressions is key. The Sigma sees the nuance in human interactions. He notices the things others dismiss or fail to understand. His heightened awareness of these subtle shifts in body language, tone, and phrasing enables him to stay several steps ahead in social dynamics. What's truly important here, though, is that the Sigma doesn't let these things affect him. He might notice them all, but he doesn't let the disrespect pull him into a reactionary space. He knows that people who behave like this are often seeking a response, whether it's anger, embarrassment, or defensiveness. The Sigma recognizes these tactics, but instead of feeding into them, he simply doesn't give them the power they want. When others try to disrespect him, they do it because they think they can get away with it. They think they can play on insecurities or vulnerabilities. But the Sigma doesn't have insecurities, at least not ones that anyone else can manipulate. This is what makes him so immune to these subtle forms of humiliation. He doesn't see it as a threat, so it doesn't become one. Step 2. Detaching emotionally. Emotional detachment is a critical skill for the Sigma. When someone disrespects you, your initial response may be to feel hurt, angry, or even insulted. These emotions can cloud your judgment, leading you to react in ways that escalate the situation. But the Sigma, who has mastered the art of emotional control, understands that allowing these emotions to dictate his actions only weakens his position. The first step in emotional detachment is awareness. Recognize when you're beginning to feel that surge of emotion, whether it's frustration, anger, or a sense of humiliation. This is an instinctual response, but the Sigma doesn't let it run unchecked. The Sigma is not immune to emotions, but rather he is aware of them and can control how they influence his decisions. Emotional awareness gives him the ability to pause and reflect instead of reacting impulsively. The Sigma then practices the art of observation. Instead of letting himself be swept away by the emotional reaction, he steps back from the situation and observes it from a neutral perspective. He asks himself questions like, "Why am I feeling this way?" Or, "What is this person really trying to convey through their words or actions?" This step helps the Sigma create distance between himself and the situation. By seeing it from a more analytical point of view, he stops seeing the disrespect as a personal attack and starts seeing it as an isolated event, something that doesn't define his worth or disrupt his peace. Another vital aspect of emotional detachment is recognizing the impermanence of emotions. The Sigma knows that emotions are fleeting, they come and go, and in a few minutes he'll likely feel differently. This knowledge helps him resist the urge to react right away. He doesn't make rash decisions or retaliate in the heat of the moment. He knows that if he allows the emotional response to subside, he'll make a more thoughtful, intentional decision on how to proceed. Detaching emotionally also involves managing your internal dialogue. The Sigma doesn't let negative thoughts spiral into a story of victimhood. He doesn't tell himself, "This person is disrespecting me because I'm not good enough," or "Why do people always try to bring me down?" These narratives keep the emotional wound fresh. Instead, the Sigma reframes the situation. "This person's behavior says more about them than it does about me," or "I am in control of how I respond, and I choose to stay centered." By shifting his internal monologue, he keeps his emotional state in check and maintains his sense of self-worth. One powerful technique the Sigma uses to detach emotionally is breath control. When you feel yourself getting worked up, taking a deep breath or a series of slow, controlled breaths can help reset your emotional state. This simple act of breathing forces you to slow down, reorient your mind, and regain composure. It's a quick but effective way to stop your body from reacting before your mind has a chance to analyze the situation. By focusing on your breath, you disconnect from the emotional current and create space for a more measured response. The Sigma understands that emotional detachment doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It means keeping control of your emotional landscape, recognizing that emotions are temporary, and ensuring that your feelings don't cloud your judgment. It's about choosing how to engage with the situation from a place of clarity, not reactivity. By mastering emotional detachment, the Sigma also avoids falling into the trap of seeking validation through external sources. Many people react emotionally because they want approval or they want to prove themselves. But the Sigma knows that his worth is not contingent on anyone's opinion. He has an unwavering sense of self that isn't shaken by the disrespect or validation of others. This inner stability gives him an immense amount of freedom. It means he doesn't have to fight every battle or prove his value. His emotional independence is his greatest strength. In summary, emotional detachment isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending that disrespect doesn't affect you. It's about creating space between your emotional reaction and your response. The Sigma understands that his true power lies in his ability to control how he reacts to the world around him. By detaching emotionally, he ensures that he can handle any disrespect or humiliation with composure, not letting anything take him off course or derail his sense of self. Step 3. Understanding the source. The Sigma never reacts blindly to disrespect. He doesn't just hear words or see actions, he analyzes them. Why? Because disrespect is rarely about the Sigma himself. It's about the person delivering it. Understanding this is a game changer. Many people lash out or undermine others when they feel insecure. The Sigma's self-sufficiency and confidence can make others uncomfortable, especially those who depend on external validation. Instead of admiring his quiet confidence, they may try to tear him down to make themselves feel bigger. The Sigma understands this and remains unshaken because he knows their words are a reflection of their own struggles, not a statement of his value. Some individuals test others to see how much they can get away with. This is common in workplaces, social circles, and even personal relationships. A subtle insult, a dismissive gesture, or a passive-aggressive remark. These are often tests to gauge a person's level of self-respect. The Sigma sees through these behaviors immediately. Instead of reacting emotionally, he notes the pattern and decides how to respond. He knows that allowing small disrespect now can invite bigger ones later. Others attempt to exert dominance. They believe respect is something to be taken, not earned, and they establish social hierarchy through intimidation or belittling others. The Sigma, however, does not engage in these power struggles. He recognizes them but refuses to play the game. By remaining unshaken and withholding the reaction they seek, he strips them of their control. Often, disrespect has nothing to do with the Sigma at all. People project their frustrations, insecurities, and failures onto those around them. A person struggling with their own inadequacies may try to make others feel small to compensate. But the Sigma does not absorb this negativity. He sees through it and understands that their disrespect is their burden to carry, not his. His independence can also trigger resentment. The Sigma moves through life on his own terms, free from the need for approval, authority, or group validation. This freedom can provoke those who feel trapped by societal expectations. Some react by mocking or undermining him in an attempt to soothe their own dissatisfaction. The Sigma, knowing that their resentment is rooted in their own limitations, remains undisturbed. Then there are those who simply lack awareness. Some people are blunt, careless, or oblivious to how their words and actions affect others. Their disrespect isn't calculated, it's simply a reflection of their emotional immaturity. The Sigma, rather than taking offense, recognizes when someone is simply unaware. This allows him to choose whether to correct them, ignore it, or disengage. By taking the time to analyze the source of disrespect, the Sigma remains in control. He never reacts impulsively because he knows that most disrespect isn't about him, it's about the other person's internal struggles, insecurities, or need for validation. This understanding gives the Sigma a distinct advantage. He never plays into the game of emotional manipulation. Instead, he stands firm, unaffected, and always in command of his response. Step 4. Neutralizing with a calm response. The Sigma's greatest weapon in the face of disrespect is his ability to stay calm and composed. Most people expect an emotional reaction when they try to undermine someone. They want to provoke frustration, anger, or insecurity. But the Sigma does the opposite. He remains centered, unshaken, and in full control. This alone can be enough to throw off the person attempting to humiliate him. When disrespect arises, the Sigma first embraces the power of pausing. Silence is a tool most people overlook, yet it speaks volumes. Instead of rushing to defend himself or fire back with an immediate response, he takes a moment. This pause does two things. First, it signals that he is unfazed, that the words or actions hold no weight over him. Second, it gives him time to assess whether the disrespect even deserves a response. Often, silence alone is enough to make the other person feel the weight of their own words. When someone expects a reaction but is met with nothing but a cold, analyzing stare, they begin to second-guess themselves. If he does choose to respond, he does so with precision. There is no rambling, no justification, and certainly no arguing. His words are brief and sharp, stripping the insult of its intended power. A simple, measured reply, delivered with calm confidence, can shift the entire dynamic. Something as simple as interesting or noted can drain all the energy out of an attempted insult. A more direct, yet equally neutral response like, "You seem upset. Everything all right?" subtly puts the pressure back on the other person, forcing them to explain themselves or back down. The Sigma never engages in verbal battles. He neutralizes situations with minimal words and maximum impact. He also understands that disrespect is often an attempt to steal attention, to put him on the defensive, or to assert dominance. Instead of allowing that shift in power, he redirects the energy of the conversation. If someone tries to undermine him with a sarcastic remark, instead of acknowledging the insult, he calmly shifts the focus elsewhere. If someone throws a passive-aggressive jab about his work ethic, he might respond with a slight smirk and say, "You've been paying close attention to me. Appreciate it," before immediately moving on to another subject. This simple redirection forces the other person into a weaker position. They no longer control the interaction, and the Sigma has shown that their attempt at disrespect was so insignificant that it wasn't even worth engaging with. In some cases, humor can be a powerful disarming tool. The Sigma doesn't use defensive humor or sarcasm, but instead effortless, confident humor. If someone makes a jab at him, he might chuckle lightly, as if to say, "That's the best you've got," without needing to utter a word. This completely diffuses tension and makes the other person feel like their words had no weight at all. A well-placed smirk or a slight shake of the head can have more impact than an entire argument. There are also times when the Sigma will subtly challenge the other person without direct confrontation. If someone is being disrespectful in a group setting, he might turn the attention onto them in a way that forces them to explain their behavior. If someone makes a snide comment like, "Oh, you think you're too good for this?" the Sigma might simply reply with a calm, "What makes you say that?" and then go silent. This approach forces the other person to elaborate, which often exposes the weakness of their own statement. It subtly puts them on the spot, making them the one under scrutiny instead of the Sigma. The key is in the delivery. No sarcasm, no aggression, just a calm, genuine curiosity. More often than not, this makes the person backpedal, realizing that they've been caught trying to provoke something that isn't there. And then there's the ultimate response, the complete lack of one. The Sigma understands that sometimes the most powerful move is to ignore disrespect entirely and continue forward as if it never happened. Not out of fear or avoidance, but out of sheer disinterest. If someone is clearly seeking attention through disrespect, the most devastating thing he can do is deprive them of it. In a workplace dynamic, a social setting, or a casual encounter, there are times when the best move is to act as if the insult or jab never existed. No reaction, no acknowledgement, just a continuation of his own path. This creates an aura of dominance. People quickly learn that trying to get under his skin is a losing battle. The bottom line, the Sigma never meets disrespect on its level. He either neutralizes it with calm precision, redirects the energy, or makes the instigator feel small through non-engagement. Step 5. Exerting boundaries without aggression. A Sigma's strength lies in his ability to command respect without demanding it. Unlike the Alpha, who may use dominance, or the Beta, who may avoid confrontation, the Sigma asserts himself in a way that is subtle yet undeniable. Boundaries are the Sigma's armor, silent yet impenetrable. Without them, he is vulnerable to being manipulated, walked over, or drawn into unnecessary conflict. The first step to setting a boundary is recognizing when one has been crossed. The Sigma does not ignore disrespect, nor does he let it slide to keep the peace. He understands that tolerating small violations only invites larger ones. However, his response is not fueled by emotion, it is calculated and controlled. When a Sigma asserts his boundaries, he does so with an economy of words. He does not over-explain, seek validation, or make excuses. A simple, direct statement is enough. If someone is being passive-aggressive, the Sigma may call it out with a question like, "Is there something you're trying to say?" If someone is pushing him to do something he doesn't want to do, he may respond with, "That doesn't work for me." If someone continues to disrespect him, he may simply disengage, giving the offender nothing to feed off. Silence is one of the Sigma's greatest weapons. Many people expect pushback when they cross a boundary, but when met with stillness, they are left uncertain. The Sigma understands that not every boundary needs a verbal response. Sometimes it is in the way he carries himself, the way he looks at someone, or the way he simply walks away without entertaining nonsense. The key to exerting boundaries effectively is consistency. A Sigma does not enforce a boundary one day and let it slide the next. People quickly learn what is acceptable and what is not, based on his unwavering standards. Over time, this naturally filters out those who lack respect and draws in those who recognize his value. The Sigma also knows that boundaries are not just external but internal as well. He protects his time, his energy, and his peace. He doesn't allow people to manipulate him into feeling guilty for prioritizing himself. He doesn't let societal expectations dictate his actions. His boundaries are an extension of his self-respect, and because of that, they are unshakable. By mastering the art of asserting boundaries without aggression, the Sigma ensures that disrespect never gains a foothold in his world. It's not about proving anything to others, it's about demonstrating through action that he respects himself enough to expect the same from those around him. Step 6. Moving on with purpose. Disarming disrespect is just the beginning. What truly sets the Sigma apart is his ability to move forward with absolute clarity and purpose, leaving no room for negativity to weigh him down. Unlike most people who stew over past conflicts, replaying conversations in their minds and wondering how they could have responded differently, the Sigma refuses to waste his energy on such distractions. He understands that every second spent dwelling on disrespect is a second stolen from his own progress. But moving on doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing the event. Instead, it's about processing it in a way that reinforces his personal power. The Sigma reflects, but he does so without emotional attachment. He analyzes the situation logically, not to relive it, but to learn from it. He identifies patterns in how disrespect manifests, whether it's a passive-aggressive remark, an undermining gesture, or a direct insult. He asks himself what triggered this behavior. Was it jealousy? Insecurity, a power play. He takes mental notes, building an internal database of human behavior. Over time, this knowledge becomes a powerful tool, allowing him to anticipate and neutralize disrespect before it even escalates. Once a Sigma has dealt with disrespect, he does not seek validation from others, nor does he entertain further discussion about it. He doesn't call up a friend to vent. He doesn't post about it on social media, and he doesn't revisit the moment in search of an imaginary victory. Instead, he lets silence do the talking. This is what truly unnerves those who tried to undermine him. Disrespect thrives on reaction. When someone attempts to insult or belittle you, they are looking for a response, be it anger, frustration, or even just an attempt to explain yourself. By refusing to engage beyond what was necessary in the moment, the Sigma denies them this satisfaction. His silence leaves them wondering, second-guessing, and in some cases, regretting their actions. They expected to see an emotional reaction, but instead they are met with cold indifference. This alone is enough to shift the power dynamic. The Sigma does not engage in unnecessary follow-ups. He doesn't ask, "Are we good?" or "Did you mean it like that?" Because he knows that true strength lies in self-assurance. He doesn't need external confirmation to move forward. His confidence is unshaken, and his value is not dependent on whether others approve of him. While most people allow negative interactions to consume their mental space, the Sigma does the opposite. He transforms that energy into fuel for his ambitions. He understands that disrespect can be a sign that he is on the right path. After all, people do not try to bring down those they see as insignificant. Disrespect often comes when others feel threatened by your presence, your confidence, or your progress. The Sigma takes this as a sign that he is doing something right, and instead of reacting emotionally, he redirects his focus back to his goals. This is where discipline comes into play. The Sigma doesn't let his emotions dictate his actions. Instead of dwelling on negativity, he immerses himself in self-improvement, whether that means refining his skills, advancing his career, or strengthening his mind and body. Every insult, every slight, and every attempt to undermine him becomes another reason to push forward, to elevate himself beyond the reach of those who seek to drag him down. The ability to move forward without being weighed down by negativity is a rare trait. It requires a deep understanding of self-worth and an unshakable belief in one's path. The Sigma knows that his time is valuable, and he refuses to let trivial conflicts steal his focus. He does not allow himself to be pulled into unnecessary emotional battles because he sees the bigger picture. Moving on with purpose also means maintaining an aura of mystery. The Sigma does not explain himself. He does not justify his lack of response. He simply continues as if the moment never existed. This leaves those who attempted to disrespect him confused and powerless. They expected an argument, a grudge, or a retaliation, but instead, they are met with indifference. This, more than anything, solidifies the Sigma's dominance in the situation. Although the Sigma does not dwell on disrespect, he does extract valuable lessons from every encounter. He doesn't see these moments as setbacks, but as opportunities to sharpen his perception and refine his ability to navigate social dynamics. Every interaction, whether positive or negative, serves as a stepping stone toward greater awareness and mastery over his own emotions. In conclusion, the Sigma recognizes that disrespect and humiliation, though uncomfortable, are inevitable parts of human interaction. Life isn't a smooth path, and people will inevitably test your boundaries, intentionally or unintentionally. However, the Sigma understands that these moments, while unpleasant, are not a reflection of his worth. They are mere distractions, temporary ripples on the surface of his life. The key here is not to see disrespect as a battle to be won, but as a challenge to be handled with poise, emotional intelligence, and an unwavering sense of self. The Sigma's approach to disrespect is about maintaining control over his own state of mind. While others might be swayed by insults, sarcasm, or condescending remarks, the Sigma doesn't let external forces define his emotional landscape. He knows that if he reacts impulsively or with anger, he is only giving away his power. Instead, he remains rooted in his inner peace. He's not concerned with proving himself to anyone, nor is he concerned with winning every argument. His self-esteem comes from within, from his own sense of worth, not from external validation. This inner confidence allows him to remain unaffected, unshaken, and most importantly, above the pettiness that often accompanies disrespect. Understanding the source of disrespect is another crucial point. The Sigma is not someone who blindly reacts to every slight. He steps back and asks, "Why is this happening? What does this reveal about the person disrespecting me?" When you understand the motivations behind someone's actions, it becomes easier to disarm the situation. Is the person attacking your character because they're envious of your success, or because they feel threatened by your confidence? Are they acting out of insecurity or frustration? Once you grasp the reasons behind their behavior, it becomes less personal. The Sigma knows that the insults or the disrespect aren't about him. They're a reflection of the other person's struggles, and most of the time their inability to cope with their own challenges. The Sigma doesn't waste time chasing after validation, seeking apologies, or trying to prove that they are right. He understands that some people won't change or apologize, and he is perfectly okay with that. His power lies in his ability to walk away from these situations with his dignity intact. Instead of getting caught in a tug-of-war with the disrespectful person, he chooses to move forward with purpose, focusing on what really matters. The moment he realizes that someone is trying to bring him down, he simply redirects his energy into his goals, his growth, and his mission. This is what it means to truly master your emotions, to not be swayed by the ebb and flow of people's opinions or actions. In asserting boundaries, the Sigma knows that he doesn't have to raise his voice or engage in a prolonged argument to maintain his integrity. His boundaries are clear, firm, and communicated without aggression. It's not about power struggles, it's about self-respect. The Sigma is comfortable in his own skin and knows that he doesn't need to justify his existence or his choices to anyone. When boundaries are respected, it's a sign of mutual respect. When they're not, the Sigma doesn't flinch. He simply adjusts his interactions, steps back, and preserves his peace without any confrontation. The refusal to engage in petty conflict is, in itself, a powerful statement. What sets the Sigma apart is his unshakable focus on his own path. Disrespect doesn't consume him because he is too absorbed in the pursuit of his purpose. His goals, his vision, his personal growth are his driving forces, and these things are far more important than any fleeting insult or judgment from others. He understands that life is far too precious to waste on trivial matters or people who are determined to drag him down. This single-mindedness is what allows him to remain unaffected by external negativity. By focusing inward, he builds resilience and inner strength. And so the Sigma's true power is found not in the ability to confront every challenge head-on, but in the mastery of his own response. He knows that the way he reacts to disrespect is what ultimately defines his strength, not the words or actions of others. He remains unmoved, undisturbed, and unbothered. When others see him walk away from negativity with grace, they are reminded that his confidence, his poise, and his integrity cannot be shaken by their attempts to discredit him. In essence, the Sigma teaches us that disarming disrespect isn't about fighting it head-on. It's about remaining steadfast in your own self-respect and focusing on what truly matters. It's about knowing that your peace, your journey, and your sense of self are far more important than any petty attempt to lower you. Through calmness, clarity, and emotional control, the Sigma not only disarms the disrespect, but he also leaves it behind, unaffected and unperturbed, ready to continue his pursuit of greatness. Now watch this video to unlock the ultimate power of the Sigma. Discover the secrets to mastering the Sigma mindset and becoming one yourself. Don't wait, your transformation starts here. Thanks for watching, and remember to be stoic always.